I were my whole self, who would I be? And who is that self? That question has been coming up for me all morning. Hey everyone, Corrie here, coming in to do a energy update for the March the 22nd. And this will lead us into the end of the month as well. As we head into April, we have a big show on the way here. It's so many things that are happening and so quickly, and so many changes that are taking place in the energy. I've not been able to record all week. I've kind of had nothing. But this question, if I were able to be myself, who would I be? Who is the self? Who is this self? Who is it that we're seeking in this world and in this life? And we've got a whole world that's on a world scale, that's on this mission to be somebody, to be the one who accomplishes something, to make things happen, to make change happen. But very few people are looking at the cost of what it costs to become that somebody. And to become that somebody is coming at such a cost in so many ways that it is so easy to be able to get lost and to lose to lose the self. That saying, that expression of um, selling your soul, selling your soul. So how many times have we sold off the best parts of self to accept what somebody else wants us to have, or to be what we think we should be? And we think everything into creation. We truly do. We think our existence into creation. We have this beautiful, authentic self. And then everything that we develop and grow into as the young adult, from teenage years, from childhood, all becomes from thinking. And that thinking is often doesn't even begin as your own thinking. You're not capable, or you're not allowed to think for yourself so much as a child, right down to how many people were raised, or how many people raised their children to literally say, no, I will decide what you wear today. No, you're not wearing that. You're wearing this. This is what you're wearing. This is what I'm telling you you're wearing. And no matter how much they'd be kicking and screaming about, I don't like that. I don't like to feel that. I don't like that color. Too bad. You're taking it. You're wearing it. I didn't ask what you liked. Well, then that becomes part of the programming. Now, the same thing when we go into learning. We go into the system, and this is how you learn. This is what you learn. This is how you do things. So somebody else and something else has been thinking for us for a lot of years. So even when you think you're thinking for yourself, are you really thinking for yourself? Something to really contemplate. Or is somebody else's opinions, that somebody else's thoughts that became opinions, that became knowledge, is that somebody else's thoughts? Is this really what I want? Is this really who I am? Is this really everything that I am? And this question comes up everywhere in my work and everything that I do. And I meet so many people who have labels on them and titles on them, or names, words that they attach to themselves, and their attachments. And so this week speaks about, we're seeing the essence of, we're not seeing the awakening of spirit and soul essence. We're not seeing the awakening of the divine as much as we are seeing the awakening of the shadow. It is opening up the chest. It's opening up the capsules, even if you've done shadow work, of shadows again. And the revelation, the revealing of what really the shadow is trying to say, what's really behind the motives, what's really behind the thinking. And so if I were to be myself, who would I be? And we so quickly run into, well, I'd be doing this and I'd be doing that. But do we ever think about for one moment accessing the realms of the emotional self that is the reason why we went into hiding, the reason why so much of that shadow energy, how much of life sucks the joy from the moment? A child picks out a shirt and is so happy. They get themselves all dressed. They're so excited about what they have chosen. So let's just say a dress. I'm going to refer to my granddaughter. Picks out a dress. Now it's a summer dress, but it's cold. You are and so proud. All dressed, comes out smiling, proud as punch that they dressed themselves. And instantly, an adult with an adult thought and adult opinions and adult programming and ways of thinking instantly go, what are you wearing? Why are you wearing that? And you're not allowed to wear that. You can't wear that. Well, I love it. Why can't I wear it? So the joy and the pride that that little child had, the moment that that gets beaten down and beaten out enough times, they will stop dressing themselves the way that they love, that makes them feel good. And they will dress more to what is appropriate, what fits, what's in style, what somebody else says they should do. In behind that is the spark, the joy is gone, and there is guilt, there is shame, there is hurt, there is pain, there is blame. There's all kinds of hidden there's all kinds of hidden things that are emotions that are then in that chest. And so even though they dress good and then they're being left alone, they're not happy. Whereas if you say, you know what, I love that dress on you. Yeah, you know what, you can wear this dress, but it's really cold out. So maybe we'll just put a pair of we'll put a pair of leggings on underneath the dress that match. And then when we get where we're going, you can take those leggings off again and you can be so proud because you look so good in that dress. And I don't want to change that about you at all. I want you to wear that dress. I want you to be proud of that dress. How about I help you with your hair? How about I give you how about we put a nice little sweater over that for just till we get where we're going? Then when we get where we're going, you can take those things off again and you can show everyone your beautiful dress and be proud of your beautiful dress. But is that how we were programmed? So the same things with different ways, different people, different thoughts, different styles of learning, being able to, whether we are someone who listens and we're better with audio or we're visual, whatever that may be, you may not have gotten a choice to learn that way. You may not have gotten, you may not have gotten to problem solve. You may not have been allowed to be curious. Well, all of this energy is all speaking to us, and it's speaking to us about worth and about value. It is speaking about abundance. It is speaking about poverty, lack of. It is speaking about storms, eyes of the storms, trauma, things that really go deeper. How many children, how many people, not even just children, as an adult, many of you have been given a label that you're this and you're that, and this is the only way. So now you have to stay doing this, you have to stay on this, you have to stay being this. And you don't ever question, what if it's something else? What if I'm simply unhappy? What if I just am unhappy? It's easier to numb than it is to deal with the difficult things that are looking at us, including unhealthy relationships, including the secrets. How many people keep these hidden secrets and hoping no one will ever find out, but yet it's always revealing itself in attitude, in protection, in lack of self-care, self-value, self-worth. There is so many areas and ways that we believe that we are able to exist behind the mask. and create lives behind those masks, and that it's not being revealed. It's not being seen. But out there, everything is seen. Your soul essence always is seen. You have free will as a human. Everybody has the free will choice. Nobody really chooses for you, only when we're children. But as an adult, you're now the adult. You're now the parenting thought in your life. And you should always be your parenting thought. And that parenting thought in your life is asking yourself, does this really work? What's really the problem? What am I really unhappy about? And should not what I be seeking in life be this thing called joy, bliss, radiance? Shouldn't we be wanting to exist in a different set of emotions rather than the ones that have been driving the force of humanity for so long that we have forgotten? Because fear leads the way. And if fear wasn't leading the way, we wouldn't have the manipulation. We wouldn't have the secrets. We wouldn't have we wouldn't have perfectionism. We wouldn't have the OCDs. We would be doing good things for the right reasons and doing them well. And when we learn who this self is, when we're able to be who I want to be this true self, this is when we learn to do things well. We learn to articulate. We learn to communicate. We learn to listen. We learn the power of listening. We learn that to do something well, to get something right, we need to be able to question. And we need to be able to question the authority. We need to be able to know that if my spark of joy, if my flame is constantly being put out by the people in my presence, should I not be questioning the people in my presence and not my spark of joy? And that I'm not deserving of that spark of joy? Should I not be questioning the presence of the energy of where I am existing and the thoughts that are being thrown at me than to be able to question my own personal joy? Because we are here in this time to bring heaven to earth. We're here to create a more heaven on earth, and not to be continually trying to pretty up, redecorate, redesign hell and try to pass it off as heaven. And yes, that's metaphoric, but there's a big, deep truth to that. Because all of the things that are not serving us, we're being told to pretty it up, including the version of self that we must be, that we have to be, that we have to keep up the standards, that I need to be this, I have to accept this about myself. There is a bombardment coming in from all over the place of opinions, thoughts, views. But where are you? Where are you? And as we see the explosion of the shadow, as we see a whole social media world full of shadow, as we see things reveal itself, we're also seeing the death, the endings of the spiritual ego, the human ego. We're seeing things kind of, and I don't mean the whole ego itself, I mean the unhealthy side of the ego, that unhealthy desire. And I will say this time and time again, people say, oh, you should be creating all these videos. I said, the way that my authentic self was designed to be put here was, and for me to be of service, was I didn't sign up to be a circus act. I didn't sign up to be a clown. I didn't sign up to act. I showed up to live. And it took me a long time to show up to live. And because it's taken a long time to be able to show up to live as self, I can't sell that version of myself to just get a viewer, to just get a follower. I'm not going to dance. I'm not going to jump around in circles. I'm not going to bash and put down somebody else. I'm not going to do those things. I'm not going to get into the bandwagon of conquer and divide to be the best version of myself. because that will never bring you back to the best version of yourself. That'll just leave you with followers who you don't know. It'll just leave you with people applauding you that have no idea who you are. Quality is going to matter over quantity in everything in our lives. And it's going to matter in energy, and it's going to matter in our future. Quality over quantity. And having and leading a quality life. And so why the awakening of the shadow? Why the awakening of the rebel? Why the awakening of the magician? Why the awakening of all of that? It's because still hidden away is the truest versions of self. It's the pieces that just need that had to go and just be put in the back, and something has to fight for us. And so the rebel energy, and why we're seeing so much of the rebellion energy and awakening, it is not bad. It is because we are tired, because the soul essence is tired. And there is a divine interventions per se coming up and rising up that is just saying, this is never who I was. This is never who we should be. And that a lot of the old programming must end. A lot of the old narratives must end. But in order to get to the self, you can't keep living in disguise. Can't keep hiding those parts of self. Well, you can exist. There's no, but they're like, it's not can't, is you can. But misery loves company. And misery has been gaining popularity and appearing as beautiful and pretty for a while now. But if we have to keep running from ourselves, if we have to keep destroying pieces of our authentic self to get to what we think is going to bring us happiness, whose thinking is that? Why wasn't the authenticity of the way that we arrived here enough? And so all of this energy, all that we are happening as we are now in an Aries season, as we're now entering eclipse, as we have lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, we have full moon coming up. We have Mercury retrograde happening on April Fool's Day, on my birthday. There is so much that is taking place. And it's because behind it all is we're shattering. We're ready in so many ways to shatter, to break down, to break free, so that we can discover who self is. So if you've not been on any journey, if you just listen and you're just, this doesn't mean anything to me, and I just love to be a part of just whatever is happening, be a part of it. But for those who've been on the bigger journey and have been, curious and self-discovering and doing self-actualization work, doing all of this work, this is where a breakthrough comes. But breakthroughs means shattering. So we're shattering, we're breaking out and breaking free of a lot of what's been holding over us. And so what's been like, about capital gain, about being, the capital in charge. So I keep getting the capital cities. So the capital city. So the capital cities will really, truly feel the effects of some of the things that will be taking place. On the 8th of April, which I'll talk about in April's, is when we're going to see another massive shift, another massive change. But when we go back to this question, they keep going back. If I were able to be myself, who would I be? Who is that self? And so you maybe find yourself, why do I believe that? Why am I following that? Why am I caught up in that? How did I get so lost in being so distracted, so numbed? It's okay that I'm going to start to question things. It's okay that I'm starting to unthaw. And so in this awakening of the self, of the true self, you have to meet the shadow. You have to allow to the shadow to have a voice, to not to have the courage to sit with those parts of self that may have been a problem for everyone else, but was it really the problem? Or does it hold some of your greatest gifts? Is some of your greatest gifts hidden behind everything that you hide from? And that is that self, because that self has so much to offer, so much to give. But a whole part of it is that we have to awaken that part. And so we are seeing and it's not Walking Dead, it's not troublemakers, it's truth. It's truth seekers. They don't want no more bullshit. They don't want no more lies. They don't want people outright telling a lie and then trying to convince us that what we had heard before wasn't true. They may have told you one story and then they changed the story again. And it's like, oh, that didn't happen. We didn't tell you that. The illusions. So all of the veils of illusions are collapsing. They're falling. They're crumbling. And this has been going on for a long period of time, but we're bearing witness to it within our own existence right now. So if you've been struggling through, oh, I don't know what I want to be, I don't know who I want to do, I don't know if this is right, or I feel like, maybe I'm going to be forgettable, whatever your story is, whatever is going on, you may be questioning your own faith. You may be questioning everything, because remember, there's a lot of chatter happening and there's a lot of fear out there and there's a lot of things to divide us. But we're all so much more alike. But we all have something of a gem that is our gem, that does make us authentically unique. And what makes us unique is the fact that if you put us all together, we all do fit. We all do fit together. And we all do have a purpose. But we have been sold so many agendas through thoughts, through thinking, including the divide. And when I see, even in our own spiritual communities in this world, when I see how easy people can turn on each other who should be able to see beyond that, but how powerful that darkness is, how powerful that fear story is, it actually makes me sad. And I don't want to exist in spaces where you have to always exist in the sad. So we're here at this time to listen, to really truly listen, to gain new perspectives, to understand that the frustration is real, that the frustration you have happening yourself, the anxiety you may have happening, all of that is trying to communicate to you. But if you're looking outside of yourself for something to give you the truth, think back to the little child. Think back to the little child who may have wanted to put on the Superman costume and go to school. And then you're told you weren't allowed to wear your Superman costume to school. Why couldn't you wear your Superman costume to school? Who was it going to hurt if you wore your Superman costume? Maybe they were afraid you were going to be picked on. But maybe that Superman costume could have given you the courage to stand up for yourself. But out of that costume, maybe you didn't feel you could, because if you couldn't stand, if you couldn't be allowed to stand in your conviction in the suit at home, who were you to stand in your convictions out in public? Who's teaching you to walk proud and simply be you when you're being told you got to take off your Superman costume? The little girl wanting to wear her dress, wanting to wear maybe her rubber boots with her dress. No, that's not appropriate. You can't go to church in your rubber boots and your dress. Why not? Who's judging? Who's judging the little girl? The parent, society. That's who's judging the little girl. Instead of letting the little girl trot in, proud as punch, rubber boots, dress, let her show up, because you stopped showing up. And the problem that we've really existed in from childhood on is we stopped showing up. Something else showed up. But where were you? Where were you in the midst of all of that was taking place? So just had to take a moment to answer a call. So where are you with those thoughts? Where are you with those thoughts? And if you could think of, if I were to be myself, who would I be? If that could, if just say those happy emotions, and so happy is not emotion. If I could be joy, who is that self? That self may be the happy go lucky. It may be the, it may be the blissful, enthusiastic, joyful child, inspired, inspirational. What is that? Think back to the little child. Think back to the programming. Think back to those times. Sit with the shadow. Don't run from the shadow. Don't run from the darkness of your own thoughts, and ask, what is this really? And I don't mean that I'm not going into mental diagnosis stuff here. I'm talking spiritual language versus medical language. Not the same. Think about it as, here we are at a pivotal time in our lives of where we're in an 8. We're in 2024. And we're in a pivotal time of where we see these, it's like two worlds collide, right? It's where the shadow is where the shadow's meeting the soul. And when the shadow is meeting the soul, it's when we see this separation, we see this divide, and we see this like pull apart energy. And it's like it's a reflection back. And we see that the soul itself is not so pure. And this is why my talisman is a Herkimer diamond. And it has all of the imperfections in it. And it's downstairs, it's not here. And I would say, I'm more like a Herkimer diamond than like a perfectly crafted perfection of a diamond. Because the imperfections is a part of the authenticity. And the soul has lived other lifetimes. Your human hasn't. Your human's had this one. And so it has all of these imperfections. And it has all of these karmatic ties to be, and stories to be ended, to be released. And so some of the cycles of change is when we see, even in the comparison, that the perfection, the perfecting it never really existed. It leaves us chasing instead of embracing, instead of embodying, instead of sometimes just accepting that maybe you had the weird child. Maybe you were the weird child. Maybe you were an outside of the box thinker. Maybe all of that part of self has been there all along. And but trying to remove those little particles, those little specks. But in the Herkimer diamond, those little specks are so meant to be there. They're all part of it. And so trying to clean it up, trying to make it perfect so we don't get judged, so we don't get talked about, so we don't get picked on, so we don't get bullied, so we don't get. How do we teach not to bully? Kindness. So if I were to be myself, who would I be? I would be the kindest that I could ever be. And that kindness would be to self as it was also for others. So with this dividing that we have, and with this energy that we have, it gives us a chance to divide, but then to blend, to come back together, so that we stop living outside of ourselves. We live inside of ourselves. We create from the inside. We go inside. Instead of seeking what is outside, we're beginning to really listen to our own thoughts, listen to our body, Listen to that nagging feeling. Listen to that self that is communicating, listening to the joy and the bliss. And if it brings me joy and I'm going to walk out and I'm going to get judged for it, then so be it, right? Is somebody else really good at dancing and flipping around in a video? Absolutely. Do I watch them? Yeah, I love them. I love watching someone learn how to do a dance. I was a figure skater. I love to perform. I love to do those things. But who and what I am at the core, and who and what I know I need to be for that self, is to not to sell my soul, but to sit with the soul and to ask the soul. I've already sat with the shadow. Sit with the shadow until you free the child, till you free the captured little bird, till you free that captured spirit that has been hidden behind, that's been believing it's been trapped, caged. Free it to run free. Sit with the essence of the evolution, the evolved soul, and ask, who do I need to be? Tell me more about this person that I am here to become. Allow me to find out more about this self instead of having to jump so quickly into having to answer the question. I don't have an answer. Maybe today I don't have an answer, and it's okay that I don't know, but I'm very curious to finally get to know that version of myself. So that as we bring this together and as it comes back together, is that we'll have imperfections, but we'll have quality over quantity. We won't be having to fake it until we make it. We will simply start to be. And when we're allowed to, when we can truly be that self, we become more productive. We create quality things. We do quality. We bring forth the best qualities within people and within ourselves, because we're also a mirror reflection. So if we can start to reflect and be the reflection that you really want to see within you and bring that into self, you also become that outside of self. And I can tell you the one thing that even I had as a child was if my energy didn't align someone and I didn't connect to somebody, I didn't try to force something that wasn't there. And there's a lot of places in life of where people say, well, how do you feel about this person, that person? Like after experience, I said, I don't have any attachment because I don't know that person. I met their shadow. What I do have is I am neutral. I have no desire to go rekindle something. I have no desire to go back and try to make something else happen. I have nothing to make up for. And so I'm neutral. And so when you can neutralize all of the things that you were reacting and responding, fighting for, that is what happens after we spend enough time sitting in with that shadow essence and building up that trust within self, that knowing within self, that we can truly heal the primal instinct of ourselves so that we stop living in a world, in a life where we are here to simply just exist, where we are here to more than exist. And if you want to wear that funky, beautiful dress and you want to wear your pearls and you're going to the grocery store, wear it. Does it bring you joy? Does it make you happy? Is it satisfying something within yourself that, and not that you're doing it to piss people off? Because if you're doing it to piss people off, that's not your true self. Remember, your truest of self. Who is that self? That self is a bundle of expressive, beautiful energy. It is divine. It is imperfect, but yet it is so perfect, imperfectly perfect. And so as we bring in this craziness that's coming, as we bring in the craziness of so much energy that's taking place, We are upon a time of great change, big change, and we are also in a time when we are here to more than exist. That's what I have for you right now. I do have to leave. Thank you for always supporting. If you like these videos, please subscribe. I channeled through this morning. And just there will be more to go with this. I think this might be a part 1 and a part 2, possibly. I don't know. But if it resonates, yay. If it doesn't, then maybe someday it will. I send you so much love. Thank you for always being here. Bye-bye.